Hello. So this is my roundup of the American film market. The American film market is basically a trade show for the movie industry that brings together production companies and smaller movie studios and producers and independent filmmakers and writers who have ideas. They pitch ideas, they make distribution deals, and it's just a good place to network and exchange information and to learn a lot about the movie industry, to really get a demystified view of the movie industry. I went because I have a new movie that's going to be coming out soon called Things Are Tough All Over, about a Black family struggling through the Great Recession of 2008. Plus, I want to continue to bring attention, especially international attention, to Lady Wrestler, the documentary I made about Black women who integrated pro wrestling in the 1950s. So here is my poster, poster from the American film market. Kind of cool. It's held in Santa Monica, California, which is, of course, a beautiful area of Los Angeles near the Pacific Ocean. So I'll just kind of take you through some of the panel discussions I attended. And I think the panel discussions are among the best part of AFM because the panel discussions is where industry professionals and sometimes celebrities they participate in these panels and they share their expertise. So it's really an invaluable opportunity to learn directly from the horse's mouth in a live setting from people who have been in the industry for years and learn about their mistakes as well as what to do right. AFM was held this year. Let's see. It was November, I believe it was November 1st through November 5th. And I went Thursday, November 3rd through Saturday, November 5th. So I got into LA Thursday evening. My plane was delayed a little bit from Columbus, Ohio, where I lived. So the first and only session I was able to attend Thursday evening was called the Engage Symposium, 21st Century Independent Filmmaking with Cedric the Entertainer, well-known comedian, actor, and producer, and Dion and Roxanne Taylor, a married couple who are the founders of Hidden Empire Film Group. Now, this was a really, really, really valuable panel discussion for someone like me, an independent African American producer. I funded Lady Wrestler and did it all on my own, as well as my new movie. I do have to give a shout out, though, to the Ohio State University's Wexner Center for the Arts that gave me free post production for Lady Wrestler. However, seeing these tangible examples, you could literally walk up to Cedric the Entertainer. I sort of ran into him in the bathroom, but I didn't have the nerve to go up to him, unfortunately. But anyway, so seeing these entrepreneurs who have been so successful, had really, really big mainstream success in the film and television industry was just really, really encouraging and inspiring. And I'll share with you some of the things they said. So I'm going through my notes here because I literally took a notebook with me. So one thing that Cedric the Entertainer said that I thought was really interesting was that even at his level, he's had a lot of success in film and television as well as hosting gigs. Like at one point he hosted Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Even at his level, he pitches ideas for movies and TV shows, and some of them are successful and get picked up by studios and networks, and some of them don't. And he said that he, like many of us, he gets ideas at any given moment. Inspiration can strike anywhere. So he'll be in the shower or he'll be, he said he was on the toilet sometimes and he'll be writing down ideas while he's, doing his business in the bathroom. So he's like a lot of us. He gets ideas and he said he tries to sort of go through and rank his ideas and find the ones that are like most sellable when he gets ready to pitch ideas. And one thing that both Cedric the Entertainer and Dion and Roxanne Taylor said is that when you have an idea, you have to think it all the way through because they said they get people pitching ideas to them who they obviously haven't thought something all the way through. Like someone will be talking about, okay, and then this person jumps into the water and they start swimming. It's like, okay, where are they? What body of water are they swimming in? And why are they trying to get there? So a lot of times, many of us creatives get ideas for movies or television shows and we don't think through all the ideas and sort of distill the idea down to its essence where someone who is not in your head can understand it. So it's very important to do that when you're pitching an idea to someone, to think through all the details, find out what the most important details are, and put it in a coherent narrative so that you can relate it to someone else and help them be as excited as you are. Now, I have to admit, before this panel, I was not aware, I didn't know the names of Dion and Roxanne Taylor with Hidden Empire Film Group, but they have had some of the most successful Black produced movies in the past decade. Movies such as, let's see here, Meet the Blacks with Mike Epps, a comedian whom I've interviewed before for one of my newspaper gigs. Supremacy with Danny Glover, Black and Blue, Fatale with Oscar winner Hilary Swank and Michael Ealy, The Intruder with Michael Ealy, Dennis Quaid, and Megan Good. So they've really had a lot of mainstream success, but their names are not in the press like Tyler Perry is. They're at the level that Tyler Perry is, but they don't get recognized, and they're fine with that. They're fine with being behind the scenes. And they own all their own films, and they license them to distributors, which is such a great, inspiring concept, is that as a Black entrepreneur, a Black creative, that you can own your content and not sign away all your rights, and that enables you to make more money. And a piece of advice that Roxanne and Dion gave is that in the entertainment business, you have to be able to persist. And Dion and Roxanne, who neither of them are native Angelenos, they both come from other parts of the country, the Midwest, I believe, like me. They were saying that when you grow up Black and poor like they did, or at least Dion did, you learn how to hustle, and you learn how to, if you have doors slammed in your face, you have to keep going because you have no other choice. And something that Dion said that I actually wrote down is a lot of people don't have that muscle, meaning they don't have that perseverance muscle, and that's something you really have to develop. So I just think what Dion and Roxanne Taylor have been able to achieve is really amazing. And there's someone to look to. There's someone who are tangible. They might be a bit more accessible than someone like Tyler Perry because they're not as famous. They're not they're successful, but they're not celebrities, meaning they're not household names. So they're very busy people, but they might be able to, you might be able to reach out to them a little more easily than someone whose name is always in the press like Tyler Perry. So if you're looking for someone to maybe get some advice from, or maybe even, who knows, mentorship, I would recommend Dion and Roxanne Taylor. So the next day, on Friday, November 4th, I went to a panel called Independent Features with Big Profit Potential. The panelists were Miranda Bailey, CEO of Cold Iron Pictures; Sarah Gabriel, Head of Development and Production for Signature Films; George Hamilton, not the actor, this is Chief Commercial Officer for Protagonist Pictures; and Pip, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, NGO, Senior Vice President of Sales and Acquisitions for XYZ Films. And these are all independent producers who have had really, really big successes in the film industry and have made movies anywhere from like $1.5 million up to like 15 million. So high-end independent filmmaking. The moderator was Brian Beckman, CEO of Archlight Films. So I'll just kind of share some insights that each of the panelists gave from my notes that I took. So Miranda Bailey, one of the things she said is that if anyone knew the formula of how to make money in movies, it would be a lot easier. So what she was saying basically is that even when you have years of expertise and you've had some successes, there is no necessarily formula for a successful film. You can, write a color by number script and follow all the conventions of supposedly what makes a successful script, but it's still a crapshoot. Basically, everything is a crapshoot. So don't take failures personally, and don't take them so seriously, because trial and error is really a big part of the industry. So along these same lines, Pip said, you make your money off the 1 out of 20 films that are going to be hits. So if you're successful enough to make 20 films, probably one of those films will be a big hit. So that just goes to show how trial and error, you just have to keep persevering. George Hamilton, his advice, some advice he offered is, what is your story? Why are you telling it? Who is it for? You have to ask yourself these questions. That kind of honesty, he said, is really important right from the start. Sarah, some advice she offered is when you're an independent film as opposed to working at a big mainstream studio, take advantage of the freedom you have, the artistic freedom you have. You may not have a lot of resources, but the one thing you do have going for you is artistic freedom. So Sarah said you have a lot more flexibility to use your vision, to use your personal story as an independent filmmaker. And I do find that a lot of indie filmmakers make movies that are either based on their own experiences or their own observations, or just stories that really, really mean a lot to them from the heart, as opposed to a color by numbers, action movie that they think is going to appeal to the widest audience. So that was really some great nuggets of advice I got from this panel. And one additional note on this panel, independent features with big profit potential. Each of the panelists said that festival laurels, like the laurels from like Sundance or another festival, or big awards, or any awards, don't really matter ultimately, although really good reviews can help with the film because the audience will tend to look at like Rotten Tomatoes or Metacritic or read other user reviews in deciding to watch a movie or go see a movie. You would think poor reviews would ultimately make your movie a failure, but Pip gave the example of there are some movies who have gotten really, really bad reviews, but because the audience loves it, for example, on Netflix, there are plenty of movies that have gotten really, really bad reviews. Critics have just dragged them, but because audiences love the person who made the movie, the star of the movie, or just the concept of the movie or whatever, or the story, the movies end up being hits. Now, they did add some qualifiers that Pip especially added a kind of a coda that festival prestige can get you a distributor, a big award like an Oscar or an, Independent Spirit Award that can generate buzz for your movie. But ultimately, it's the audience who is going to decide if they want to watch your movie or go see your movie in a theater. And that is what will decide it ultimately, is if your movie is profitable and will ultimately determine whether you're able to make another movie going forward. So kind of keep that in mind. You have to kind of keep awards and being able to get into festivals into perspective, because it's not necessarily the end all be all. So Saturday morning, I went to a pitch conference. What this was independent filmmakers and screenwriters pitching ideas to judges: Cassian Elwes, producer and agent from Elevated Film Sales; Lee Jessup, career consultant and screenwriting expert. And I think there was one more person who's not listed here in my brochure from the conference. But this was really, really valuable in seeing what works when pitching your ideas. Like, say you get an opportunity, just say you're in an elevator, maybe you take a trip to Los Angeles and you happen to find, or New York, and you happen to find yourself in an elevator with some important person from the movie industry, or you physically go to the Sundance Film Festival and you find yourself at a party, a reception with a bigwig from the film industry, and you have an idea to pitch. What should you do? Well, here was the advice I gleaned from the pitching session. When pitching, give the people the idea that you're pitching to an idea of the budget you're aiming for. Now, I never would have thought of that. I thought that would have disqualified you. I would have thought, oh, let them determine the budget. But, say this is in the range of whatever, $5 to $10 million, and research what similar productions have been made for, the budget of similar productions of the concept that you have in mind. Lead with the genre. Like, is this a horror movie, or is this a drama in the vein of Moonlight or something like that? There was one lady who was pitching a sports story, and after she gave the pitch and the judges were giving their feedback, they said, well, what is this? I can't get a sense of what this movie is supposed to be from what genre this movie is supposed to be from what you said. And finally she said, oh, it's like Bend It Like Beckham. And they said, oh, you should have led with that. They said, next time you do a pitch, say it's a heartwarming family sports comedy in the vein of Bend It Like Beckham. Think of a similar movie and include that in your pitch. Make sure to include the title. There were people who got up there and pitched movies and didn't even say what the title of the project was. Also mention, what audience is it geared for? Who do you think would be your target audience or your ideal audience? Maybe even do a concept trailer, hire some actors to portray the lead characters and use that, a little, whatever, 1 or 2 minute clip, maybe even up to 10 minutes, maybe even like a short film version of the feature that you want to make. I thought that was great advice. If you like these videos and you would like more content like this, please consider becoming a member on Patreon. Link in the description box.